Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Thank you very much for tuning into today's episode. You will have noticed probably over the past few days, maybe since the start of this week, that I've been really quiet, and I am very sorry about that. I just am getting really freaking busy. In a good way. I'm working on some fun stuff for kind of in the background in the back end of the shop, and just some like kind of day-to-day stuff, just like with clients and that's good and I love, but it just takes a bit of time. And I've kind of been a bit lax on the social media, so I am very sorry, and I want you to know I am problem solving that, but these things take time. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the main topic of today's video, shall we? So the thing I was wanting to talk about today was in the space of how do we find good information in the realm of fish keeping. So one of the real common comments that we'll get in the shop particularly, so it's particularly from maybe newer hobbyists, like say sub 1 year, but people who take it quite seriously. But it isn't always. It can be from very experienced people trying to do some really specific, obscure thing. There's a comment around how it's so hard to find information. All this information contradicts each other. Half of it doesn't apply to my situation for X, Y, Z reason. And it really kind of complicates things. It makes the hobby a lot harder. And so what I wanted to do with this video is kind of outline some of the things to consider when looking at information, how to know what's good, how to know what's bad, how to know what's not even good or bad, just information, and then you have to make what you want with it. So for me, I think the most important thing is making sure it's like contextual information. So for us in New Zealand particularly, but I'm sure a lot of you international viewers from all around the world have these varying problems, is a lot of information does not apply. So for example, for New Zealand, a lot of information about, like, if you're trying to figure out how to treat some particular kind of disease, for example, a lot of the information doesn't apply because we can't get these medications, or you need a prescription to get this medication, or it's super expensive or whatever. But these medication questions don't apply. The context is lacking because of these legislative rules around getting medication and all this thing. So making sure it's contextual information is the most important part. So for example, if you're trying to find information about medication in New Zealand, you'll want to be talking to or finding information from New Zealand or from things that's kind of universal. So like something like clean water, universal, gonna help pretty much any sick fish. Or talk to people in New Zealand, like if you're keeping discus, you want to find a few discus breeders or a discus breeder and discuss your problem with them, because they'll know, oh, you can get this in New Zealand, you can't get this in New Zealand, you can sometimes get this in New Zealand, etc. Like, that is the most important thing. Like, it is quite sad when people come into the shop and they're like, oh yeah, I need general cure, and it's like, yeah, well, too bad, can't get it, need a prescription for those medications. I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do. So that's the number one. And then number two, I don't know how to explain this, but you kind of want to take the law of averages, I guess, is the main thing. So I do want to be a bit careful in this space, but what you want to do is like go around and like read, say you're wanting to learn about the minimum tank size for X fish. Could be an angelfish. You'll want to go around and like kind of remove the outliers and kind of go for the medium. So say there's some places that say, oh yeah, a 10 gallon 40 litre tank's fine, and then there's some places that say, oh yep, you want a 150 litre 3 foot 40 gallon tank. But there's some places saying in the middle. That's actually a bad example because I don't agree with that, but you know what I mean. We'll keep going. But you want to kind of find what's common among all the sources. So say you got like 10 sources, some websites, some videos, some books, whatever, all different media, but the same, like a whole bunch of sources. Then you'll want to go through these different sources and find kind of like what's common amongst them all. So like they all say, good quality flake food, pellets, rapashi, like those kind of things. And then there's like one place that says like cucumber is the best food, and then there's one place that says they'll only eat other fish. You probably want to exclude those things because that's like one random thing says that, but all the other sites and resources have this commonality. There is the trouble with that is obviously there's exceptions. Like everyone says angelfish is fine in a 20-gallon aquarium. My opinion is they're not, but you know, I don't know. Basically, I don't have an answer to that. But yeah, that's kind of the commonality between them. The next thing you'll want to do as well is find people that you trust. And now this is hard because trust can be misplaced. Obviously, not just like, okay, speaking more philosophically, not just in fish keeping. In real life, trust can be misplaced. People get divorced, people break up, like people hate each other, but you know, we'll do our best. So if you're keeping fish and you're finding, oh yeah, I do whatever this local breeder, local fish store, this online resource says, if I do it all this way, the way they say, everything seems to be working out fine. I cycled my tank the way that they said to, and that's worked. I added fish in the manner that they said to, and the fish are happy. I fed them what they recommend, and they're fat and happy. So like, once you kind of get to know or get used to, oh yeah, this resource, they've got a good track record for me. Then kind of build off that, like, oh yeah, they were right about angelfish. Maybe I'll look at what they have to say about guppies, about Amazon swords, about water changes, about filters. Like, you can kind of build off these resources. Again, you do want to make sure you're still like cross-checking your facts. You don't want to just get into this echo chamber kind of mindset of like, okay, I have to keep fish exactly how this person says, otherwise it's going to go bad. Because obviously everyone's got bad information. You could very much hear bad information from this one person. So you do want to make sure you're keeping on cross-checking, seeing what those commonalities are amongst everyone, what this person says is the same as this person or is slightly different to this person, but not a major difference, as well as an important thing. So like, if I say, you know, an angelfish needs a 150 litre aquarium, but someone comes along and they say, yeah, they need a 120 litre aquarium, maybe the specifics are different, but they're still the same idea. Like, it still need a big-ish, like medium-sized aquarium. So making sure that is kind of continued is really important. You really don't want to get into a position of just blindly trusting one source, and then that's your only source. Because what will happen then is maybe you get into a space where this resource isn't an expert on. Like, I would never want to be in the position of being the sole source of advice on discus, because I don't know anything about discus. I'll do my best, of course, I'll give you advice on discus, but with discus you might want to talk to your local discus breeder in your area, maybe like a couple other shops. Maybe you want to read this book about discus. Wow, that is prop placement. Maybe you want to read a book about discus, you know, all this kind of stuff where you want to spread your knowledge base wide and then go deep, if that makes sense. Local fish clubs are a good option, but I do want to say one thing about local fish clubs is local fish clubs, in general, yours might be different, but local fish clubs tend to be a bit old school. Because like the whole idea of a local fish club is an old school concept. So you do want to be a bit careful about that and just make sure that you're not maybe feeding your axolotl beef, for example, because that's what they used to do in the day. But, you know, with axolotls, new research shows that's not the best idea. So you'll want to make sure it's contextual, make sure it's broad, make sure it's trusted, and then make sure it's up to date. Because things change. Like, I'm going to be candid with a real example for me. So when I started the aquarium project, I knew everything I'd read and suggested, and I knew that pea puffers, you could keep one pea puffer fine by itself and it'll be happy as. Now I know that pea puffers are a social fish and do best in a group. So that's not something I knew at the time because it's out of date, and I've updated that knowledge, I've read more resources, I've learned, and new stuff has been discovered. So you want to make sure that you're open to that, of things change, things are going to be different, what are you going to do? So that's a really important thing to remember. But I hope this gives you guys a bit of an idea about what to do and how to do it in terms of making sure that your fish are well looked after and that you're equipped best to have the most amount of success in the hobby. So yeah, that's that section. What I also wanted to do was, seeing as we're sitting right here in front of the monster tank, I thought we'll feed them, because I was looking at this camera angle before and I thought this was cool. So I'll feed them and I'll kind of wrap it up by pointing the camera at the monster tank while they're eating, just for a bit of fun basically. But yeah, I do hope this gives you guys a bit of an idea of how to find information, how to check it's valid, and how to enable yourself to have the most amount of success. Obviously, I don't want to be in the position where anyone only trusts me as well. I don't think that's a good mindset or a good sort of solution. I'd like to think you guys trust me, but I don't want to be the only source of trust, you know, like, read other books, do other research, you know, read articles, read books, watch videos, talk to different people. Like, what I say works might not be applicable to your area, or, you know, whatever. So you want to make sure it's applicable to your area. That's one of the things I want to really push home. But yeah, let's feed the monster tank. So what we're going to feed them today is, I'll just chuck some pellets in there because why not. This is the mostly New Life Spectrum Jumbo Float, but there is some Sierra Cichlid XXL and maybe a couple other little bits and pieces. So yeah, that's them eating. We will just watch them. They're not the most active eaters right now, because basically what I've done is I took the I turned off the filter because it was too loud, but that's kind of thrown them off because the filter doesn't get turned off, so they're a bit confused. But yeah, there's a bunch of Oscars, arowana, Baisha, common plecos, that kind of thing. So yeah, hopefully that's a little bit of a fun little finale, fun little treat for sticking around to the end of the episode. So yeah, I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe, and definitely drop your thoughts down below. I'd really like to hear them. I think it's always good to be sharing as much knowledge as we can. So yeah, thank you guys very, very much. I love you all so, so much. If you're in New Zealand, get out and vote. That's important. But otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.